when we hear about stories coming out from you and your agency that everything is pretty good and you're doing a great job. I guess you feel like you're doing a great job, right? Is that what you're saying?
We're doing our level best in a very
What does that mean? What does that mean when a child is sitting in their own feces, can't take a shower? Come on, man. What's that about? None of us would have our children in that position. They are human beings. And I'm trying to figure out, and I get tired of folks saying, oh, they just beating up on the Border Patrol. Oh, they just beating up on Homeland Security. Now, what I'm saying is I want to concentrate on these children. And I want to make sure that they are okay. I will say it, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's not the deed that you do to a child, it's the memory. It's the memory. And so, I told the head of Border Patrol the other day, I said, I want to know what's happening in the meantime. We are the United States of America. We are the greatest country in the world. We are the ones that can go anywhere in the world and save people. Make sure that they have diapers. Make sure that they have toothbrushes. Make sure that they're not laying around defecating in some silver paper. Come on, we're better than that.
I would welcome the opportunity to travel with you to the border and to see our men and women and how hard they are working to care for children. Border Patrol agents holding children that were not their own, brought across by smugglers, putting formula and baby bottles together. There's no one defecating in a Mylar blanket. We are taking care of these children thanks to the resources we finally have. They're moving very quickly through our facilities to Health and Human Services to a better situation, and I'd be happy to show you that at the border, Mr. Chairman.
This is House Oversight Committee Chairman Elijah Cummings as he erupted at Trump's acting Department of Homeland Security Secretary, and rightfully so, because the last several years of this administration's immigration policy have been a lot of things, but the phrase "doing our best" is decidedly not one of them. From tearing children away from their parents to withholding toothpaste and soap, to sending people to sleep on concrete floors, to not letting anyone shower, the White House's policy in dealing with immigrants has been one humanitarian crisis after the other, even inviting comparisons to concentration camps. And yet still, this White House has the audacity to defend its policies and suggest that they're doing a good job. An administration that has overseen the deaths of at least 7 migrants. And you heard the acting DHS secretary suggest that conditions are finally improving now that they've received funding for resources, a reference to a $4.5 billion bill that would alleviate pressure on detention centers. But in saying that, he's doing what this administration does best: distracting you from a problem we can all see with our own eyes. Because while he tries to frame this as an issue of resources, it's not, and it never was. It is and always was about the treatment of the migrants. It's about their dignity. It's about their humanity. It's about recognizing and acknowledging that the people at the border are human beings. They are risking their lives to escape the very narco-terrorism and gang violence that the Republican Party, that the president, accuses them of perpetuating. The rhetoric from the right has been that of constant, endless, breathless vilification of these people. People who, like millions of immigrants before them, have come here looking for a better life. People like, for starters, the wife of the guy who predicated his presidency on attacking immigrants. So he can claim that he was hamstrung by funding, but limited funding doesn't stop them from accepting the donations of soap and toothpaste that people tried to give before being turned away. Limited funding doesn't stop them from allowing people to bathe. Limited funding doesn't stop them from keeping kids with their parents. In fact, it's the opposite, as the Department of Health and Human Services paid more to house young migrants who were separated from their parents at a staggering rate of $775 per day. Because at its core, this isn't about limited funding, it's about cruelty. Now, Republicans will claim that all of this could be avoided if people emigrate here legally, but they've enacted roadblocks that explicitly prevent migrants from doing so. The Trump administration started with its zero-tolerance policy that mandated children be separated from their parents. And now, between their use of metering, which limits the number of people who can claim asylum at the border, and their Remain in Mexico policy, which forces asylum seekers to stay in potentially dangerous areas, the very places that they've come here to escape, they're making it nearly impossible to do the exact thing they're claiming migrants should do. Combine that with their desperation, and we're left with viral photos like the one of Oscar Alberto Martinez Ramirez and his daughter Valeria lying dead in the Rio Grande River because they spent weeks trying to seek asylum with no success. That's what it looked like when people tried to use the resources that Republicans claim are so readily available. So instead of scolding migrants for not coming through the, quote, proper channels, maybe consider that by some insidious design, those proper channels don't actually exist. We need some type of comprehensive immigration reform, absolutely. But sooner than that, we need to remember that the United States has an obligation to treat humans with respect and dignity and compassion. Like it or not, that's our job on the international stage. Our greatness doesn't come from filling up auditoriums or getting the highest ratings or having a huge social media following. It comes from defending the vulnerable, from protecting humanity, from serving as an example for the rest of the world. And that's something that this administration, that this acting DHS secretary, that the President of the United States could use some immediate brushing up on.